Welcome to the Superpower Success Podcast. At Keystone, we believe exceptional organizations don't just happen. They are built by focused leaders that recognize their authentic leadership superpowers. Join us for a serious dose of inspiration. Welcome to the Superpower Success Podcast. So excited to have you here today, and I'm excited for you to learn from our wonderful guest. Sally Zimney is a speaker extraordinaire, a coach. She's also an author. Welcome to the club.
Woo, woo.
It's not a small feat to get in that club. So I recognize you very much for that. And she's, someone that I've followed for many years, even in my own speaking, just because of how openly she shares and just the journey that she's been on. So Sally, I'm super excited to have you here today because I selfishly know I'm going to learn a lot from the conversation.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. It is always great to connect with you and talk with you. And I'm so excited to be on your podcast and to dig deep. Even in our pre-chat, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be good. This is going to be fun.
So let's start with you. And I want you to just talk about your journey, right? Again, back to a lot of people can look from the outside and say, she's so successful, right? She's achieved all of these things. But I want you to tell us the real journey, right? Like what's it been to get you to that point of success?
Oh, gosh, especially as entrepreneurs and leaders of all stripes, it is a journey. And it's often a cyclical journey when we look back and say, okay, I understand how I got here based on what happened 30 years ago. And for me, 30 years ago, I was standing in front of 150 teenagers talking about these big, bold ideas that they weren't necessarily interested in, like kindness and courage and respect, but universal, really important ideas that I was passionate about as a youth worker and a youth speaker. And I learned so much about how to deliver a message authentically, courageously, clearly, because teenagers are going to let you know when you do not meet that bar.
Yep.
At the very least, they're like, you got to show up real with me, or no thanks. I'm not gonna pick up whatever you're putting down in front of me. So it was an incredible masterclass for myself. Even at that point, I did high school speech and was really successful in that vein and worked with incredible coaches, and I did theater in college. But that experience shaped me in terms of how I show up in front of an audience, how to both master the finesse and the polish of doing that, but also let go and be present and allow for whatever is going to happen. That combination is really, really difficult, but so, so important. And then from there, I spun into a career of doing both speaking and coaching. And I love them both. I love being up in front of big groups, small groups, helping them find their authentic voice and share it bravely. And I also really love coaching other speakers, coaching other leaders to help them deliver their messages grounded in their authentic, clear, brave voice.
I think it's fascinating when you tell in your book, you talk about this moment, right, of speaking in front of the teenagers and what a defining moment it was. And, I think a lot of us think those defining moments have to come now, right? When we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s. A lot of them have come. We just aren't realizing it, right? They really have shaped us at a much earlier age. And they're now part of the formula of our success that we still think about today. It's fascinating.
Well, and as leaders, that's our job, right? To find wisdom and perspective and shape meaning. And that's my belief anyway, is that as I work with leaders, I'm like, you are a leader because of your ability to shape perspective and meaning and understanding, to create a shared vision, to onboard people onto that vision. And oftentimes we don't discover our own perspective and wisdom until we look back. It's a backwards reflection. And so in that moment, of course, I didn't recognize that I was having I knew I was having a moment, but I didn't realize how formative it would be for me. It was like, oh my gosh, I wrote a book really that was birthed in that moment. I didn't know that then. But now when I look back and see how that moment shaped my own perspective, my own meaning, then I could take that experience and shape it and help it become something that other people could grapple with and understand and want to shape for themselves.
Yeah.
So I think that's our job ultimately, don't you think? It's not just here's the things that we have to do, but as a leader, it's how are we shaping people's perspective and view of the world so that they can do and be differently.
Yeah. We talk about shifting your perspective all the time, and you have to consciously do that. And I agree, as a leader, it's our job. So I want to talk about that leadership component for a moment. And looking back over kind of your experience in your career, is there a moment or a leader that really shaped, outside of this one we were talking about, that shaped kind of who you are and like the leader you want to be, right? And as you coach other leaders.
When I first started consulting, luckily I had people who would just hand my name off to other people. I'd work with a speaker and then they'd speak and somebody would say, "Oh my gosh, you're awesome. How did you get to be awesome?" And they're like, "Here, work with Sally." So I've been very, very blessed in that way. Super lucky that people have been so generous with their referrals. And yet, I remember sitting in a conference room working with a really high level sales team, prepping for a huge sales pitch that they were doing, like worth millions of dollars. And they brought me in to work with them. And even though I've been doing this for years and I had been just ushered in with so much openness and they were really excited to hear what I had to say, I was like, can I do this? Do I have what it takes? Why they're listening to me? Like what I say is going to shape this $1 million presentation. Like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Really? That level of imposter syndrome shows up again and again and again, even
no matter how successful you are. It
is so true. So true, Jamie. It's one of those things that I think if we are ambitious people, if we are visionary leaders, we're going to bump against something new again. Like, oh my gosh, okay, can I really do this? And so for me in that moment, I had to learn to trust myself despite that feeling, that the self-questioning. I was like, I've been hired for this. Trust yourself, and that has been really helpful, and yet I still have to grapple with it, and I just think we all do. We all do. And instead of seeing that as a moment of I don't belong in this moment, who do I think I am, like I have no business being here, I've seen that as I've started to recognize that as a moment where I'm like, oh, I am leading. I'm stepping into new territory. I'm forging a new path. And so it's a signal to me that I'm at the right level of brave. I'm at the right level of risk. And if I don't have any imposter syndrome, I start to go, are you really challenging yourself, Sally? Are you really pushing yourself? So I've changed my relationship with imposter syndrome. Instead of it being a sign that I'm in over my head, I'm like, oh, no, actually, this is a sign that you are on the right path and you need to trust yourself and move forward anyway. And easier said than done. But
I love that idea of changing your relationship with imposter syndrome, because I think as humans, successful humans, we think we need to not have it. And that's not just like we need to not have fear, or that's not what you're striving for. You're striving to change the relationship with it. That's really, I'm literally taking that, because that's, I spoke a couple weeks ago on International Women's Day to a group of women in a corporation. And, I talk about it at the beginning of my talk, like how many of you have ever had this and how many of you had it today? And I raised my hand. Like coming here, who am I to talk to you about, right?
Every time.
Your own.
Every time. And because I love speaking, because I've been doing it forever, people assume I have no fear. People assume like, this is easy for you. Oh, you're an extrovert. Oh, you're a performer. Oh, blah. And I'm like, that does not at all exclude me from the feelings of, can I do this? Oh my gosh.
Right.
What if this sucks? What if they see right through me? What if, all of the very natural feelings that happen when we are about to do something that's brave and important and scary. It's like, okay. So I don't know if this is at all helpful, but when I'm working with speakers, we talk a lot about adrenaline, the way adrenaline shows up in our lives. So that kind of thinking is one of the ways that adrenaline tends to show up, because truly your body at some level is going, this is a pack of lions and they're coming after you and you are going to die.
Gonna
You
die.
are going to die. It's like, well, even if I know, okay, I'm not going to die, it still has this primal feeling that is, you can't necessarily control. But what you can do is teach your body that you're going to be okay.
Yep.
And this is the hard part. The only way you teach your body that you'll be okay is by doing it and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. And most people really don't like to hear that. I'm like, eventually your body recognizes, oh, this is a fake pack of lions. And I can change. Again, we're like changing our own internal stories about what is happening.
Right.
It's
But
not a pack
again,
of
it's
lions.
changing the relationship, whether it's as a leader, you don't love having those difficult conversations, which no one does. And you
Yep.
have that feeling before every single one. The more you
Mm-hmm.
quit, the more you learn to control. I'm going to have this feeling, but it doesn't mean I'm going in the wrong direction. It's
Yeah.
just validating that I'm doing something hard.
Yes. 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 And important and brave. And I love sitting in an audience. I don't know if you've had this experience, Jamie, where one of the unexpected speakers is up there, where they weren't necessarily top billing. They weren't the person that everybody's talking about, but they show up and you can tell that this is a brave moment for them. And I feel like the whole audience just sort of opens themselves to this person.
Yeah.
And if that person can show up being brave, like it's okay to be scared in that moment, but still strong in their point of view and saying the things that they were there to say, that is the moment where audiences fall in love with the speaker. It's not the like, oh yeah, there's a big time person. Yay, good for you.
Up
It's
there
the
on the stage,
unexpected.
right?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
exactly.
Because I
Exactly.
think
And
you see
I love
yourself
that.
in them, right? I
Yes,
think you see your own insecurities and fear in them, and so you give them grace, which we normally wouldn't give ourselves.
totally. That's the thing, is whenever speakers are like, well, and when I say speakers, I use that term really, really loosely. So if you right now are listening to this and you're like, I'm not a speaker, but you are a leader who leads a meeting, guess what? You're a speaker. Hi, sorry to tell you, but you
You're
are a
just not on a
speaker.
stage in front of 3,000 people. Those aren't the only people
Yes,
that are speakers.
correct.
Yeah.
If you are speaking in front of more than three people ever, I would say, guess what? That's part of your identity and your role is speaker. And so I love to remind people
Mm.
of that we don't uh, we appreciate that level of bravery in other people and question whether people will give it to us when we do it.
Right.
It's like, oh, no, it's a universal. It's a universal. And not that everybody's going to love what you have to say. That is not the goal.
Right.
But uh, why wouldn't it be true for you if it's true for other people?
I love this. And this, you just reminded me of something. So the book, first off, Speaking Story, her book, I'm like three-quarters of the way through it and I'm reading it every single night because it's so simple, which I say that out of
Yeah.
respect because
Yeah.
my whole career, our business is focused on simplifying things. So when you can simplify it, it's approachable. But I want you to talk a little bit about, because I want the leaders who are listening to understand what we just started to talk about is that the impact a leader can have through story on
Mm.
culture, on their team, on performance. So just talk a little bit about how you've seen that play out through leaders or even yourself, but like what that power of story actually is.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of brain science, and I'm sure you're somewhat familiar with this.
Mhm.
And Brene Brown talks about how we are wired for story. She, of course, as usual, is not wrong. And some of the brain science reveals how powerful, especially it is to speak the story, that there's a particular kind of magic that happens when we, and again, I'm going to use these terms really generously and loosely. When a speaker and an audience are in a moment together and the speaker shares a story, that audience member is imagining, if the story is told well, that audience member starts to visualize and imagine that story. And it creates an incredibly powerful connection that is unlike other types of, and I'm going to use the word persuasion that we tend to use and tend to lean on. As leaders, we need to persuade. We are trying to onboard people. We are setting out a vision and we're saying, come with me on this vision. And if you are not tapping into story, you are missing out on one of the most powerful persuasive tools that everybody can use and everybody can access. And the key is the way in which you do that matters a lot to be able to turn on some of that brain science and that brain power, persuasive power. But it's very simple and very easy to do. And most leaders, especially in the business sector, tend to go, it's not appropriate, or, I've got to just stick to the facts. I don't want to waste anybody's time. And who cares about my story? Who am I to tell a story? And blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you're a human. And it is one of the most powerful ways to create resonance and connection with your people and open them up to your message and idea and get them to care about it before you've even talked about it. It's so cool. It's really cool.
It's change management, right? I mean, this is the business environment today is so wrought with change. I mean, the pace is at like a pace we've never experienced before. And I think leaders are ill prepared to do this, right? To not lead with facts when you want someone to do something differently. It feels very transactional. And that's where people start to feel like a number instead of like a human that you care about through change. And this idea of, I kept thinking of authentic persuasion, because persuasion can have a negative connotation.
It can.
The
Absolutely.
salesperson that's trying to get you to do something you don't want to do, but when it's authentic, and I mean, just to be clear, Sally's got her master's in persuasion. That's an actual thing, which I think is fascinating.
That's an actual thing. I know, isn't that weird?
But persuasion
is so cool.
not a bad thing. It's not a manipulative thing.
Right. And it can be. I mean, let's lay that out. And one of the essential ingredients for persuasion of all kinds is emotion. If you do not have emotion in your message, people are not going to be persuaded by what you're talking about. We tend to think, like, if I lean into logic and I share all the important facts, that's going to be persuasive. It might be, but it's going to be more persuasive with emotion. Emotion is that critical ingredient. It turns into manipulation when it's just emotion and there is no logic backing up that emotion. And I think we can recognize that. We see lots of examples of that. And you're absolutely right. That's not what we're going for here. What we're going for here is an emotional message that's grounded in logic and ethics. If you want to get all Aristotle about it, it's Aristotle's three appeals, and we're really trying to find the balance of those: logic, ethics, and emotion.
And I love the story that you tell in the book too, and it's totally resonated with me about being at a nonprofit something, right? And I go to these all the time. And you've got the people that are more poised and scripted, and right, they're reading about the whatever the cause is. And then you get somebody who's never spoken on a stage before and is pit sweating, standing up there, so nervous, and they tell a story about their impact. And you're like, who do I write the check to? How much money can I give? Not the people that are the poised, factual ones that tug at your heartstrings. It's stories of people who are, again, being brave. And you're like, wow, like that impacted you. And I've had so many of those moments. When I read it in the book, I was like, amen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, audiences really appreciate story. And it's not just that they're more engaging, because they absolutely are. I used to stand in the back. I coached a bunch of speakers in the organization that I started work talking about earlier when we talked to teenagers, and I'd sit in the back of the room, watch some of my speakers. And if you were just looking from the back of the room and not listening to anything that speaker was saying, I could tell you when they were telling a story, when they weren't, based on how wiggly their heads were. It was like the speaker's talking, it's wiggle, 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 and they'd start to tell a story and all their heads would
They
stop.
lean in, right? Or yep.
Oh my gosh, it was truly magical. And part of the reason that stories are magical, and not just with teenagers, but with any audience, is because we recognize our humanity in each other. When we tell the right story at the right time in the right way, we go, wow, you are not just a leader who's got rules for me and who's coming in to say, this is how it is. You're a human being, and this is grounded in a why that matters. We understand the significance. It gives an idea, actual human form, legs and a scene and all the things that we recognize as giving something context and meaning and understanding. It's not just the rules. So there's such an important tool for us as leaders. And, I think it's underutilized. What do you think? Do you think
I,
leaders are?
as you're talking about this, I'm tying it back to all the culture work that we do. And this
Mhm.
is a rut, right? That probably isn't seen,
Yeah,
but is felt in that the employee engagement levels we're dealing with and the
yeah,
transient nature of employment, and people are saying, why aren't they loyal? It's because they're not grounded in anything.
yeah,
It's both ways. It's a transaction, and the employees are feeling that
yeah,
way. And I think it's because leaders aren't,
yeah.
and companies and leaders, right, aren't
Hmm.
grounding them in a deeper purpose of the work, whether
Yeah,
you're in accounting, or you're,
yeah,
frontline to the customer, or we're not creating a depth in the work that we
yeah,
do. And I think we're
yeah.
searching for it, to be honest, as most
Oh, for
employees
sure.
are. They want that, but they don't know how to articulate that that's what they don't have.
Yeah, and there's lots of ways to do that. I think stories is one of them.
Yeah.
And when you're leaning into stories, what it requires of you as a leader, which is maybe why people aren't utilizing it very much, is it's vulnerable, and it requires you to show up real and authentic, because there's nothing worse than I'm going to tell you a story and it's just about how great things were and how you did everything right, and it's like,
What
okay,
you should do.
good for you.
Right.
Exactly, good for you, bye bye, because I'm over here in struggle town.
Right.
So
If they
tell
keep
me
like
something that
it's
creates
right,
empathy, you
right,
know?
right.
Hmm.
That people can relate. I think it's being relatable, which is the authenticity of being a leader, is
Yeah,
people have to feel like you're not just a talking head, right? That's super
yeah, yeah,
smart. You can be
yeah.
great in domain expertise, but if you can't connect to people in this way, it's
Hmm.
really tough to be a really good leader.
Hmm.
So to the leaders that
Absolutely.
are listening, I mean, this is where we're talking about a lot. I mean, people are probably nodding their heads like, yeah, like, what the heck do I do? How do I,
Yeah.
I'm aware now of, like, I want to be a leader like this, just
Hmm.
like everything else I need to work on, right? As leader,
Yeah,
where do
yeah,
they start when it comes to story? Besides reading
yeah,
the book, that is.
yeah. Well, the first thing to do is to be on the lookout for the connections between what and again, your audience, your employees, whoever it is that you're going to be speaking to, what they need to hear, the messages that they need to hear, and the stories that will help illuminate that message. So that connection is really, really key. And those stories exist everywhere. They could happen when you're at the grocery store, or you're at your kid's basketball game, or you observing something happening in the workplace. So the way I talk to people about that is to start really paying attention to what is moving you. What moves you? What is the moment that stands out to you that you're like, oh my gosh? And this requires us to slow down and to not be chickens with their heads cut off. And I have to tell myself this probably more than
All right, I'm
anybody.
out. I'm sorry, I'm out.
I
No, I'm
know,
just kidding.
I know, I know. Because what we're looking for, it's not just it's seeing stories all around us, because they are all around us. It's not just seeing them, but it's bringing in that wisdom and perspective. It's making space for us to reflect on them and say, why did this move me, and what does this make me think of, and what's the connection with the people I'm talking to, and what they need to hear. That's really step one. Because when people say, I don't have any stories to tell, I'm kind of like, well, stories are
I
happening all around you.
I struggle with this. So I want to talk about
Yeah.
this for a moment because this just happened.
Okay.
I'm reading the book, so it's front of mind
Yeah.
right now. But I don't feel like I have stories to tell. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I should just start making a list of all the really big,
Yeah.
powerful stories in my life. But what I hear you saying is
Yeah.
those are great, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's the simple everyday, I'm going to call them,
Yeah.
right? Everyday
Yeah.
things. Like we're recording this during March Madness, and I was watching a women's basketball game last night. And there was something that happened during the game between two players on two different teams. And I just went, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like what one did for the other. And like just this whole like humanity that I saw is on a basketball game. But I never
Perfect.
thought about that's a story because it
That's a
moved me
story.
that somehow I could relay back even to the culture work and everything. She's like doing a dance because she's like, she gets
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
it.
That is exactly it. That is exactly it. We start to, my friend Tiffany Maddock calls it see with story eyes. So your job as a leader is to start to notice those moments. A story is really a moment. It is something that happens and exists in one moment in time. So Jamie, you just said like, okay, there was a moment that happened between two players on this basketball game. Okay. That your perspective on that moment, okay, first noticing it. Now, like, okay, what does this have to do with the people I'm talking to?
Right.
And what's the message in there for them? You could take that story and probably write a great LinkedIn post on that, right? You could absolutely hop on social and share it as an entrepreneur. That's part of what we do, right? We're
Right.
showing up, we're getting visible. You could absolutely use it in a workshop or a talk that you've got coming up as a
Or
speaker.
just in
So,
a team meeting to say this moved
yes,
me and this is how we want to be as a team or whatever it is, right? But as a leader, it could be a
absolutely.
team of four people that you're
Yeah,
sharing that story.
yes. And think how much more meaningful that message is. It's like, we need to help each other out. It's like, okay, rah, rah, that has no significance to me
Right.
because it's not in human form yet. And so for you to tell that story and then say, this is what I want for us as a team. This is the vision that I have for all of us is when we see something happen like this, we step up and do something like that. Like now you're shaping perspective and meaning. And I, as an audience member, as a member of your team, I felt the point of what you were saying when you told the story before you even had to say it.
And I'm going to remember it versus anything
Mm-hmm.
else could have said because we
Yes.
might not remember everything the person said, but we remember how that story made us feel or what we
Right.
connected it with.
Because even you didn't really tell the story because you were just like remembering a moment, but even in your quick replay of that, I saw in my head two female basketball players having some kind of interaction, and it existed in my head exactly how it's probably very different than what actually happened, but that doesn't matter because I have a visual image in my head, and as soon as your audience has that visual image, they're going to remember it.
Right.
That's the magic. Ooh, so fun.
Good. I think that's such a myth that I carry, right? About that it has to be these
Yeah.
big complicated stories. And I think the
Yeah.
simplicity of they happen all day, every day around you.
All day, every day. If we are paying attention, we have plenty of content to pull in for our audience.
I love it. Okay. I told you, everyone's listening. This was really for me. So thank you for the coaching
You're
session.
so
I
welcome.
appreciate it. Everyone else gets the benefit of it. So I want to get to the bonus round of questions, just some fun
Great,
questions here at the end,
great.
just to kind of give a little more flair of your personality. Um, so to lead well, you need to be well, right? We talk about being the chief energy officer of your own life and your own.
Love
What's
it.
one thing you do consistently to manage your own energy as a leader?
Okay. Um, I'm a cold plunger.
You are every day.
Yeah. No.
Okay,
No. Probably a few times a week.
good for you.
Although, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, I'll do like a 30-day challenge for myself and do it as close to every day as possible. I've been sick, so I haven't been doing it probably for the last week or so, but a
So
few times a week, I cold plunge. I love it.
good for
And I
you.
hate it. I
I
hate
love
it.
it, and
Really, I hate it.
that's exactly
Yeah.
it. Yes. Yeah. So I know it's good for me and it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Um, okay. If you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would you put on it and why?
Mm, uh, such a great question. I would put brave over perfect. Just brave over perfect, people. Because I think the lure of perfection keeps so many of us from sharing our voice and our really needed, powerful, transformative ideas.
I love it. So I'm going to follow that up with a deep question because I think that was a really deep
Okay.
answer. What do you
Okay.
hope the world looks like in 5 years? What do you hope is
Oh,
different or better? If you had to pick one
wow.
thing.
If I had to pick one,
Yeah, something that you
oh,
just hope is different.
yeah. Well, I am partial to LGBTQ inclusion and equity. My oldest is transgender. So I would love for transgender people in particular to not be um, so, uh, for people not to be afraid of,
What they
especially
don't
young people.
understand. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
They're
I
just
love that.
humans. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
I
It
hope
is
that
deep.
for
We're
you.
going there. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you for
Woo.
sharing.
Hmm.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for writing the book. It really has been impactful for me. Will you share just a little bit about where people can learn more about, because you help leaders of all, not just speakers, you help leaders.
Right.
Where can
Yep.
they get more information? Where can they get the book so that they run off
Yeah.
with it right away?
My website is sally-z.com, sally-z.com. And on my website, you can grab my book, Speaking Story. You can learn about me as a speaker. I love to come in and speak with groups about using their authentic voice, being brave, and getting over the fears that are holding them back. I also do lots of trainings and workshops about speaking in particular. So, all kinds of goodies on there. And if you are somebody who wants to do more speaking, reach out because I have lots of programs for people who want to become paid and powerful speakers as well.
I love it. And we'll make sure we include all of that in the notes for the podcast too, so that people can get to it there. Thank you for being here and for sharing and for coaching me on everything I
Yeah.
need to work on as a speaker and a leader. I just think your energy and how you bring it to the world and talk about this makes it feel very approachable, which is how people
Mm,
change. So I
yeah.
appreciate you
Yeah.
for that.
Oh, well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. I've so loved getting to know you and can't wait for more. I feel like we're just getting started,
We
Jamie.
need to
We're
get
just
back on
getting
the
started.
dance floor again because
I
that's where
know.
we really met
Yeah,
each other is on the dance floor.
it is. Oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Whole nother story. But thank you again for being here. To, the listeners, thank you for continuing to engage. My goal here is to bring on leaders like Sally to just help shift your perspective, or she says, shape your perspective a little bit, because there's a lot coming at us right now. And I
Mm,
recognize that. I see it. I feel it myself. But each day, if we can focus on something that just makes us a little bit better, that, it's is an energy spike for us. That's what these podcasts are meant to be, is to introduce you to those subjects. So definitely check Sally out, go find some information and figure out how you can impact through story. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you get the latest episodes as soon as we release them. And remember to keep maximizing your unique leadership superpowers. It truly is the key to building success, both in your career and in life.